Welcome to The Roads We've Traveled, episode 19. My name is AJ Pelletier. Hope everyone is doing well out there. We got a great guest today, a guy I've known for a long time through the music scene. I've basically interviewed his entire band already. Mr. Chris Millet. Chris, what is going on, brother?
Nothing much, man. Nothing much. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. Appreciate it, man.
It's been a while, man. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a bit. I left the scene a little bit, disappeared off the face of the earth, but I'm glad to be here, actually. So,
yeah. Well, we'll get into your journeys too, man. You've had some pretty fucking awesome journeys, and I've talked about you on a few episodes already. I think we talked a little bit when I had Mike on the other week.
Oh yeah.
So, we'll get into this. About how are you and your fiance doing the pandemic?
Doing good. Trying to keep our sanity, and that's a journey within itself that we could talk about. But keeping your sanity during this time, and you find a bunch of different activities you didn't think you would get to, and we kind of just are slowly but surely regaining our sanity after the first few months of this. So it's kind of you kind of lost it a bit, and then you went, okay, I need to do something. So we figured that out. It's getting better, so to speak. So.
Are you still working, or are you?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. My office, we work from home mostly. We're mostly a remote job, anyways. So I only went into the office for productions and stuff that we had to do. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What is it you do again?
So I am the creative manager for a company called Teltech. We make mobile apps and stuff like that.
Oh,
so
very cool.
More or less, we make call blocking apps, a bunch of different phone apps, stuff like that. And I'm the creative director for that, more or less. Creative manager, creative director, same thing. But that's pretty much what I do. I run a creative team, and we make all of our nice, pretty ads that are on TV and stuff. So, make the shiny thing so you buy the thing. That's pretty much what we do.
Oh, very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
And so you must still be pretty busy then right now, even though with everything going on.
If only I don't have the time on your podcast to talk about what's going on with everything. I've had this thing where I shut off my email because I have a tendency to look at it, because I get so many messages during the week where it's like, the thing they don't tell you is when you become a boss, so to speak, everyone wants to be the boss, right? Everyone wants to be the boss. They don't realize, I still do your job, but also I now have to manage the rest of you and do all the other work. So now I do double the work, and I don't know what sleep is anymore. So it's great, so...
Jesus Christ, you must have a lot of anxiety, and we'll get into that in a little bit.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. No, if you want to go down a road, okay, listen, we'll go there.
I'm thinking our first animated clip will probably be this episode right here with you with a cup of coffee and a cigarette, just shaking,
shaking. Let me tell you something about this.
Just with the thing in the background from It's Always Sunny with the red ropes and everything.
Like this.
It's all connected.
It's like one of those animations where the lines are constantly wiggling around.
Oh my God! What was the name of that show? The Therapist show.
There was that and The Critic. It was The Critic and
The Critic.
One.
Yeah.
It was The Critic and one other show. I can't remember the name of it, but
I hate that animation style. I really do.
So do I. But it fits being anxious all the time. It's like a life status.
Oh my
God.
God.
I am now this show as an occupation.
Oh Jesus Christ, man! Have you tried yoga?
You know what I did? I did, and. No, I'm too gangly and awkward. Okay, side tangent completely, then we're going to get to the actual podcast.
Okay.
I go into this yoga, and have you done yoga before?
Oh, dude, yeah, DDP yoga. I'm all about that.
Okay, you do DDP. So I made the mistake of going to the yoga that's the namaste, and you walk into the gym and they're there.
Breathe.
Yes. But look, dude, I'm a 6'4", 260-pound dude. And I'm trying my best, and I can do most of them. Then they go into a handstand with one leg out to the right, and I look around, and I'm like, cool, I'm just staying right here. This is not happening. Like, I'm not, and everybody, old women, everything, they're doing it. And I'm like, man, I'm just the worst. This is not good. Like, I don't have coordination. I don't remember, like, I trip over my own feet sometimes. I can't do this shit. Like,
I mean, it all takes time, man. I mean, like when I had my my spinal surgery years ago, I was in physical therapy for like 6 months after, between in gym physical therapy and then pool therapy. And one thing that they had me do was yoga while I was like in the pool, like, and they put like these like they weren't really floaties, but they were like weighted floaties or whatever that you have to wear on your legs or whatever. And like, it really felt like you had weights on while you're underwater the whole time. So like, there was one time I'll never forget, totally tangent. I know we're so far off the podcast right now, but I don't care.
Whatever.
This is my show. There was a woman, there was a elderly woman. I'll never forget this, where they only had one physical therapist in the pool at the time, and I think there was maybe like 10 of us in the pool at the time. And she told the woman, she's like, okay, here are your exercises. I got to go check in with this other guy. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. And I'm just chilling like up against the wall, like doing my leg stretches or whatever. And I look at this woman, and she's standing upright, and then she does a dive. Like her feet went straight up. She couldn't get herself back downright, so she's basically drowning in this like 3-foot fucking pool, you know what I mean? And I've immediately stopped what I was doing. I fucking swam over there. I picked her up, and I'm like, oh my god, are you all right? She's like, oh my god, thank you so much, oh my god. And then like the trainer looks over, she's like, oh my god, like what happened? I was like, she tipped over, and the she couldn't get back up right. Like,
I feel so bad for laughing at that, but that's a comedy scene, man.
You know, I can laugh at it now, you know what I mean? But like, it was terrifying, you know, this like elderly woman just
the
like
more
right in the water.
stories I hear about like your journey through physical therapy, I feel like there needs to be a comedy TV show about it, because there's like all these moments where you're the normal dude, like seeing all this crazy stuff. I'm like, what is this? Like,
yeah. Yeah, and don't even get me started on the fucking dressing room too, man. That's like walking into a gym and you see like all these dudes in like their 70s that just don't care anymore. Their balls are hanging out. Dude, man. Oh my god, I had one incident at the gym. This was like maybe like last year or something like that. And it's just like when I go to the gym and I have to change, like I get in, I get out. Like I don't stare at anybody. Right. Like I don't want, you know what I mean? Like, but there's just
human being.
Yeah. But then there's these elderly guys that just don't care. You know what I mean? Like they're going to showcase their sagging balls, and like, and this one guy literally was doing that shit. Like
I wish I had that confidence. Do you know what I mean? Like in my life, I wish that like I had that, not that action, but that level of confidence.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like just, I would rule the world if I had the level of confidence just to be like leg up on a chair, being like, how you doing?
But this is
that, or I have some level of sexual harassment lawsuit. It's one of
This is exactly what he did. He went to his locker after he took a shower, like didn't have a towel on. I'm like, usually guys wear towels when they are going to their locker, you know, okay, whatever. So he opens up his locker, he gets all his clothes out, and then he just stops. And then he goes to the mirror, and then he's just checking himself out while his balls are like dangling everywhere. And it is, you know, and I'm literally like 2 feet away from him, and he's like walking real close to me and stuff, like making sure that I got a full view of his fucking junk. And I'm like, dude, back the fuck off. Like, I don't want your big ass old man balls in my face. Like,
my favorite part is I just laughed because I just realized that somebody is tuned into this podcast looking for like, oh, what's the road they travel? And just old man junk is now taking like the actual part. There we go.
You know what it is? I'm kind of like, you know, the last episode that I'm currently editing right now. It should be out before this one. We did a roundtable talk with Josh, Doug, John, who's the drummer for Fear the Masses now, my buddy Jeff. And we just had like a really good time. We talked a lot about music.
Dude,
you know, in the scene and everying, and then we talked about video games. So
I
it's a little bit different.
They're some of my favorite people on earth. Like, like, you know, just as a side, because you all probably heard that episode beforehand, Josh is absolutely the person who will drop a philosopher's level knowledge on you and then all of a sudden tell a dick joke immediately after it that ruins everything he just told you. And I love it so much. Like, just, oh, it's so great. But yeah. Do you want to have an existential crisis? Have Josh and Doug in the same room talking about like philosophy to you, and you'll just be like,
I love it. I absolutely love it. Like when the two of them talk together and just like it really like you tune in and you listen to everything, and then you contribute what you can or whatever, but like maybe a lot of stuff you don't really know about, and then you learn something. And I learned something every single time I talk to those guys.
We'll get to it, but Josh is 100% a major role in a road that I've gone down, like in learning everything, just in general, it's funny to me, and to be more serious away from old man junk. It's funny to me how, everyone has like events in their life where they talk about this is major touch points for me, but I've looked at mine, and mine has mostly been, it hasn't just been like events. There's a few, but it's people. People 100% are what have changed my viewpoints and my wants and passions and other things. Like meeting them and the support that they give me to deal with certain things has always been like cool. And Josh and Doug played a huge role in that. Mike played a massive role in that. Friends in Connecticut played. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, I don't live in Connecticut. I lived there for forever. In Connecticut, pretty much, was on the scene. I would see AJ in a bar almost every like other week or so, something like that. It would be to the point, by the way, just off the side note, where I wouldn't even say hi to AJ. Would be like, "What's up?" I literally saw you like 5 days ago. I'm tired, and we just played another set.
I don't even remember the conversation, but that one time we played, I think it was Diversity Metal Fest at City Limits, and we were all sitting at a table together, like waiting to go on or something, and you were going on about something. I don't remember what it was, but you were on a tangent about something, and you were talking for like 15, 20 minutes about something.
I can do
and
that.
I'm just sitting there, and I'm listening, and I'm just like,
like, dude, here's the thing. Also, to side note, we'll get to it, is like I had a big problem back in the day with like insomnia. So like everyone, it was like an untold knowledge that everyone is like, listen, Chris, cool dude. He's a little bit, just a little bit. He just goes, he rambles a bit because sometimes he's just so exhausted he can't stop. And so I don't know. I think it was diversity, and we talk about something. I remember what you're talking about, but I don't remember. That speaks to it. I rambled for 15 minutes, don't remember a damn thing.
We're all hanging out on the Sever the Drama bus, too, at one point. So
oh, my God. That was fun.
Yeah.
That was fun. That was great. Yeah.
Nothing in the bus, just a whole bunch of wooden boards and, like, shit to sit on.
Yeah, it was so just, like, a bunch of shit to sit on and a bunch of metal dudes while, I never like to say this. I always like to see the opening acts or anything, but when you see the one band, it's like, cool, we're all gonna take a cigarette break now.
Yeah.
I've heard you 100 times. Like it's like I had heard you guys. Like it was one of those things where people was like, don't you want to stay around the band? It's like, dude, I've heard AJ like I think 6 times in the past 2 months. Like I know the set, right? Like
they're gonna play an original. Now they're gonna play Breaking Benjamin. Now they're gonna play. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And it was the same thing with Fear the Masses. Like it was like, okay, we're gonna let the beat drop for the beginning. There we go. We're gonna do that, and then we're gonna go with this.
Silent Street Soldiers. Here we go. Like,
there we go. Oh, yep, there it is. Number 3. Cool. Gotcha. It's cool. I wonder which one they're gonna play first. Oh, interesting. Okay, it's gonna be that one.
Make me your leader. Here we go. Yeah.
Yep. Exactly. Always number 2. Yeah, number 1 or number 2. I still remember that. That's insane. I am so far off the reservation.
Oh, dude, it's all good. It's all good. I'll keep us on track here. But yeah, so we basically talked about a few subjects already in a matter of 12 minutes. Let's.
I'm efficient, AJ. I'm efficient.
So how did you meet your fiance?
So I met her at college, UNH, where I went to University of New Haven. Which is the same place not the same place. I met Josh around that area. But I met Kate in so we tell this funny story of so I had, like I said, bad insomnia. I'd be up at 2-3 in the morning walking and smoking cigarettes like a madman. And all of a sudden I hear this drunken yell, "Hey, can I have a cigarette?" Like screaming. There's Kate walking towards me, hammering out of her mind. And I'm just sitting there. I'm like, sure. And I chat with her for like 10 minutes, and that just sort of spawned this kind of friendship afterwards. That was like, so freshman year of college, I met her there. Then we kind of faded out when she left to go to a different college. And then we met up again when I was in let's see, about 4 years ago, we met back up again. And, so it was just kind of this weird circling things. We were really good friends in college. We were still good friends when we wouldn't talk as much, but at the same time, then all of a sudden it just circled back to that later on in life. It was just the weirdest thing that, like, don't get me wrong, I regret nothing, but I'm like, wow, that is the weirdest circle of a relationship I've ever seen, where it's like, oh, right, okay, that's who you end up with. Also, like,
grandkids ask you one day, how did you meet Grandma?
oh, there will be a different story. Like,
funny story. And then she just comes over,
story.
slaps you on the back of the head. No, not that story.
Yeah. Your grandmother was drunk off her ass. And it's just, okay, all right, yeah. I'm glad I think she's still outside. She can't hear that story. It's good. It's all right. Don't worry about it.
But so you guys started dating after that, and like
yeah, we dated for a little bit. It was kind of like an on and off, like, like the college relationship where it's kind of like, are you dating or are you just messing around kind of thing? And that was that. And then it became a real relationship when we met up again like 4 years ago. So it was like that kind of thing. Was she already living in New Jersey at the time when you guys started dating seriously? Or funnily enough, she grew up. So I grew up in New Jersey, in Seabright, New Jersey, which is like right along the shore. She grew up literally 30 minutes from where I grew up.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, and we both ended up at the same college. She ended up going to Monmouth University, which is down in New Jersey, after UNH. She transferred after her like a year and a half at UNH. And it's just wild that, like, I go to college, I travel to California, and we'll get to that, but I travel all over the place, and the person I am with grew up 30 minutes away from my childhood home, and it's like, okay, this is strange. So yeah, pretty much.
So were you guys like still dating when you were out in California, or did you take a break and then got back together when you came back?
So we stopped dating when she left from Monmouth my like sophomore year of college, and then it kind of went on, and then we met up again, while I was still in California, like a year into me living into California. Then we did the long distance thing for a year. I ended up moving back, and then it's been that way ever since.
Yeah.
So that's
very cool. And then you popped the question and everything.
Popped the question in New Orleans when we went on vacation, and
nice.
The most terrifying moment of my life. Even though someone's gonna say yes to something, but at the same time, like, you're like, this is weird and terrifying.
Because it's a big step into your future. You know what I mean? It's a milestone.
Exactly. Oh, actually, fun story about that. So we went to this tour called Oak Alley, which, if you look up Oak Alley, anyone, it is one of the most filmed places in New Orleans. You'd see it and like, I know it. Did you ever play Red Dead Redemption 2?
Oh, fuck yeah.
So the big plantation house they end up burning that has all those trees down the line? That's based off of Oak Alley. That's what it looks like.
Oh, shit.
So I proposed to her there because she loved that place, and I actually orchestrated the whole vacation so I could take her there. And the best part is, I'm sitting here with a ring in my pocket.
Mm-hmm.
She is a tourist. She has to go on all the tours in Oak Alley. And I'm sitting here for about 45 minutes to an hour listening to this tour guide talk with the ring in my back fucking pocket. And I'm sitting there going like, please shut up. Just, I want it. I'm getting more anxious as it goes on. And then it ends and we're about to go and people keep asking questions. And I'm sitting there like,
shut the fuck up.
I'm gonna just stop it. Because I can't be like, okay, let's go. I have to be like cool about the whole thing. Mm-hmm. But like, good Lord, we were there for another 15 extra minutes. And I was like, I'm gonna die. Oh God. So it was good though. It was
good.
Yeah, man. And now you have to figure out the whole wedding thing, which is just a whole different thing. So it's just
yeah.
I don't tell you about all.
I never got that far when I was engaged, but that's a whole other story. So
yeah, that's a whole other story.
I was engaged 6 months, and didn't last.
No. Yeah.
Anyway,
we'll see if she doesn't kill me by the time we get to the wedding. We'll find out, so it's fine.
Well,
it won't be me leaving. It won't be anything she does. It'll be something I do.
I think it was from Fake Doctors, Real Friends, the podcast with Zach Braff and Donald Faison. I've been listening to religiously. They were like, if you don't fear your wife, that's not love. Like,
No, my to-be wife is one of the kindest, sweetest people I ever know. Funny, I love her to death. But good God, like, she has that Staten Island in her when it comes out. And it's just like, you're talking in your dollars. I'm like, dollars? Oh, we're there right now. I'm going to back up because we got that Long Island. You'll shiv me. Okay, good. Like, just.
Let me just put my arm out. Okay, I think I'm a good enough distance away from you
is
swinging at me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just check. It's like, okay, cool. Not in fingertip reach. Fantastic. Good. There we go. Like, yep. So that's pretty much it.
Well, hey, man, I'm happy for you. She sounds
Thanks,
awesome.
man. Yeah, she's pretty great.
That's good, man. So talking about growing up, you grew up in New Haven and everything. What was it like growing up?
So growing up, I was born and raised in New Jersey, and then went to.
Oh yeah.
I was born and raised in New Jersey. But I went to boarding school for rich people in Connecticut since I was in 7th grade. So I like to say I basically part-timed in New Jersey and Connecticut for my living. Lived in New Haven for 5-6 years, but in New Jersey, grew up. Didn't really leave for boarding school until I was about 12, 13. It was a normal childhood. It was kind of like that. I had wealthier parents that we can get into that, but that was a whole different bag of worms. We've talked about that before. My parents are weird, but not all of them. That's not fair. But that New Jersey was pretty normal for me. And then stuff and weirdness really started to happen when I left to Connecticut, because Connecticut, as you know, is a weird place. It's just a strange place. I like to say Connecticut is the land that sometimes makes no sense because you have the redneck mixed with the prep, and it doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
You see a man with a pop's collar driving a pickup truck with a Confederate flag, and I go, I don't understand where this world is. But no, either way. But when I went into Connecticut and lived there, boarding school is like a weird reality, right? Because I don't think in any way I would never tell anybody to send their kid to boarding school, mostly because it doesn't prepare you for anything. You have a sheltered life in a dorm room. That's basically college, where a bunch of kids are arguing about their dad getting them a Ferrari as a car. That's pretty much what it is. And I even as a young kid, I'm like, I don't like you. Like, I just don't. It was a conversation that me and Josh frequently had about, when I would grow up and meet these people. I'm like, that bugged me. And he says, and that's what makes you a rare rich person. I'm like, yes, I know. It bugged me because, I would like to say is I kind of coasted because I was like, I know it seems because I'm a big dude now, but I was a skinny, gawky kid. And I was like the bullied kid from 1st grade all the way until about junior year of high school, where all of a sudden I came back. I was already 6 foot 3'4", and then came back sophomore, end of sophomore year, beginning of junior at 250, and I was this big, and they were all like, cool, now we can't. He'll choke slam us into the floor. True. But I all that formation of me really happened in college, and I figured out a lot of things. I do know when I look at my life, I had the nerdiness, which you and I can talk all day. We need to I need to put a lid on a bit of it because we'll go for 3 hours. And
I'm thinking maybe the next roundtable session I have, I definitely want you a part of it.
100%. 100%. I'll be there. But the nerdiness was there. Big D&D fan. We can get into that. That's a huge formation in my life.
That's on the list for later. So yeah.
Oh, for later. But the way I try to put it is, I was in high school and formative years, I was the nerdy D&D playing football captain who also basically ran all the music programs on campus. That was pretty much what I did for high school.
That's a lot of shit. You must have been under a lot of pressure.
100%. I don't know, man. I'm a person, I think it started there, if I had to think about it. And we're getting into therapy. I need a couch, and we'll just start going there. But we'll get a couch. How do you feel? I think it started there where, I became everyone's like, well, you got to pick the one thing. I'm like, why do I have to pick the one thing? I like doing all these things. And I became obsessive, where D&D was a huge help to clear my head out. And we can get into mental things, but clear my head out. Football was this, I had a lot of aggression, still do. that I needed to get out, and I would, hit people. An all New England football player, that was me. And then music, as you know full well, was just such an amazing passion. There is nothing like, there's one thing to make a recording. It's one thing to play. It's one thing, dude, I've met some really good musicians who are good in a studio. There is something about a rare skill, and I don't think it's taught, about being on a stage and performing. Because you see that band that stands still when they play. You know what I'm talking about?
I hate that.
Like there's just, and the guy is an incredible guitarist, but he just stands there with his hands and goes like all that shit. And I'm like, man, dude, I'm bored,
Mm-hmm.
and I was always proud of Fear the Masses of the thing. We never did that. We never did that. We were always like, fucking go. And then we're all like, because at some points in our playing career, we were out of shape. So all of us by the end of the show, we're like, and Josh would laugh at us because the dude, was just like doing MMA stuff. And he was like, guys, you need to run a little more. I'm like, okay, that's great. But roundabout way is like, in high school, I started to find what I like to do, which was like, I realized I needed a physical activity and I needed creative outlets, and I needed both of them. And that's formative, but I really didn't start forming my own personality the way I was until I started in Fear the Masses, really. It was all kind of like chaos. And then I got in there, and I had these group of friends in college, my two best friends in the world. They're groomsmen at my wedding, which is Matt and Zach. And then I had Fear the Masses, who are also my really, really great friends, who are were psychologically formative for me. Like the three of them were absolutely, and I can't give them enough credit for that, because it was like, you have those friends that check you, and not in a bad way. It's like, well, why do you think that? Why is that the thing that you do? And then you literally stop dead in your tracks and you go, I have no fucking idea. I need to figure that out. That was it. And I could go for days on this, but I won't forever. But
no, it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, like, it's just interesting. I literally see myself forming to a person from when I started college at 19 to all the way until probably my graduation of playing in the band, and then the conversation with Josh that I felt like I needed to leave Connecticut. Like I just needed to leave.
Yeah.
And I remember him being like, do it. Like, go. Why are you here? And then that was like the last step. The minute I got to California, all of a sudden it was boom, there he is. Like there is the person that I am now and the person I like being. Like it was just all led me to that point, pretty much, in this roundabout weird way. Go ahead.
I wish I had enough courage to do that, because a part of me still wants to leave Connecticut, but a part of me has to stay here for a lot of other reasons too. Because like I was talking about with Mike, like, I'm thinking about buying a house. Since that episode though, things have changed. The house I was looking at got bought already.
Yeah.
So, and like I just got slammed with a ton of medical bills. So I'm like, okay, well, it might not happen this year, but someday down the road we'll see. So
I'm a pessimist and cynic about a lot of things, but I'm optimistic about life in general. When shit hits you down, I find that who we are as people, and this is what I believe wholly, who we are as people is defined when we are hit by things that are terrible for us. Like you are defined as a person when you reach on that moment that's terrible for you. Like when you are at your lowest, you are defined by your reaction to it. Like, and don't get me wrong, everyone has that moment where they lose their shit. That doesn't define you. It's when the storm calms and you're looking at the wreckage, you go, okay, I got this. Like you're going to just figure everything out. And that's where you're defined. And, that happened throughout my entire college career. It was just, not to get too far into it, but at that point, I got diagnosed with bipolar mania. I was diagnosed with generalized anxiety. My bipolar mania can push into psychosis, which is what causes insomnia, which is what causes instability, all that stuff. And all of a sudden I'm presented with that when they tell me, okay, well, the only option to really treat this is lithium. And that's a no-no because it changes your brain chemistry, makes you a walking zombie. I truly believe, like, it's just not a thing.
Yeah, we're talking a little bit about that when Mike was on, because he just got recently diagnosed with bipolar. Bipolar 2, I think he said he had, and he's on a very low dose of lithium himself.
Oh yeah, and and that works for some people. I couldn't do that, and so I had to readjust everything in my life: what I did, how I did it, where I went, and and Fear the Masses and my friends were so formative for figuring out where I was, and with the moving and leaving things. Like, dude, I was in a position where I could, like I was lucky to be able to be like, dude, I'll leave. I'll just leave everything behind. Like, I had no attachments. Like, don't get me wrong, I had friends, but all of them were like, if you need to go, go. Phones exist. Like, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So I feel like I was fully shaped as a person. Like, I was coasting all the way through high school, and then I was fully formed as the person I wanted to be by the time I left for California. And the minute I got there, it was the weirdest thing. Like I said, it like clicked in my brain. I'm like, cool, got it. We're gonna do this. And then all of a sudden, everything clicked into place. And everyone's like, it's funny, when I went to California, even Josh was like, you're a lot more calm now. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I have no idea anymore. It just doesn't bother me. It's weird how one thing can all of a sudden just open your eyes to stuff. And it's
So
just so weird. Go ahead.
So do you think it was the move, or was it something else out there that made you like calmer?
I think it was a combination of some things, right?
Okay.
So it was I retain a lot of information, but I don't always act on it. So, there's something when you're driving in a car by yourself for 5.5 days, across country, because I did that. By the way, with a dog and a cat in the car. Like, that's just, oh boy, with a dog that gets car sick.
Oh man.
I have a story. Actually, I'm gonna put up a story. I go to a convenience store. This is day 2. Okay, go to a convenience store. I'm be like, cool. I'm just gonna get a dog treat for the dog. I'm gonna get some food while I'm there. Get some gas. Come out, and he's vomited on the console with all the buttons of the car, and it's in the buttons in between them. And here's the thing. So what do I do instead of, because I clean it up, and I'm like, fuck, I go back in to the convenience store and buy Q-tips, because I have to start getting everything out. So I have to start getting everything out of the car. I have crazy stories from driving. Like, side note, and I'll get into the more formative stuff, but like, on my way back from California, okay, I want to just tell you what happened on my way back, which is I drove through a wildfire, then a dust storm, then the largest rainstorm on record in Oklahoma. A tornado passed by my car,
Jesus
and
Christ.
on the last day, we'll talk about it way at the after. I got in a car accident on the last day.
I think I remember that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So like, that was my way home. Crazy journey, but on the way there, you sit there and you just think. There's nothing else to do besides listen to an audiobook and think. And then I get there, I start going together, and I didn't have a job. I was lucky enough to not. And I had to be like, well, I have these skills. What do I want to do? And I sat for like a good week, and I was like, I don't have any idea. And that week and the car ride were where all the gears came into place. But it was also a little bit before that. So it is legendary that I was in a terrible relationship before all of this. Got out of said terrible relationship. That relationship was not physically, but very verbally abusive. Okay. That's all I'll put in there. But I finally ended, and the decision there is like, I remember sitting in the apartment when all was said and done. I'm emotionally gone, right? I'm alone in my apartment. I don't want to be there. And I remember sitting there and seeing all the photos, all the other things. And I remember looking around, and that was like the first gear moving in my head, where it was like, well, why the fuck are you staying here? Why are you? Like, it didn't just click. And I remember, without thinking, I get up, grab a contract bag, and start chucking things into it and taking it to the dumpster without thinking. And all of a sudden, I'm sitting in an apartment that just has my furniture and things that I care about, a few things. And I went, cool, so I'm leaving. And then everything started to move. Like, that was the first gear coming unstuck in my head. And then I started talking to Josh, talking to Zach, talking to other people. And, and from there, I had this amazing, and we can get into it, of like, when I got to California, it's like, cool, I've always wanted to do voiceover in my life. I did voiceover for a good period of time, still do.
Good. Yeah. I was going to ask if you still do, because like, I know we talked briefly about it I think the last time we spoke together. I know you said you were in a Lord of the Rings game.
I was.
I
played orcs, pretty much. He says, Ranger, I'm gonna gut you like a fish. And it was that time. I was basically a bunch of orcs. Funniest story about that, right, is that I walked into the booth and I was reading the thing, and it was like, and when you read it, they don't tell you what the game is half the time because they're keeping it secret, right? And I'm reading and I'm going, okay, the Dark Lord, Ranger. I'm looking at this whole thing in the great eye, and I just had to, excuse, is this? And I was like, Lord of the Rings was something that I read. My father read to me when I was like 8.
Yeah.
And I loved it ever since. I watched the Fellowship of the Ring movie 6 times in theater, 7, I think. Like, one of my favorite things. I geeked out on that. Everyone's like, that's so cool. I'm like, you're telling me. I freaked the fuck out.
Yeah.
But I did voiceover for 2.5 years. Still do. Not as much because I'm employed, but employed another way. But I do every now and again do auditions and go in and do a couple readings for background characters, a couple other things. And it also formed my creative work, which was editing, animation, and filmmaking as a freelancer and all that stuff. And doing that and making that choice of there wasn't an employer telling me what to do. It's like I had to hit the ground and ran. I all of a sudden felt elated by this independence, but also found the monumental task. And I love that challenge, which was just like, fuck, I got to make this work. Okay, we're going, and
Yeah.
I did, and it was like, cool. I made it through that. I don't know. It's hard to pin down sometimes how that change happened. It was literally like, because some people think it was gradual or it was this. It was just, I felt like a light bulb all of a sudden, dunk, and then all of a sudden Chris was there. He was there. Like he was just there. It was like, boom, I'm here now. And everyone's like, dude, you're really calm, a lot, way more in shape than you used to be. And, you've got like this very chilled out attitude, but still intense because I'm just an intense person. It's just what I do. But I'm very intense. I mean, you've met me. I'm very intense person. Let me tell you about this. Hey, do you want to talk about history? Let's talk about history. Let's go down that road. No, don't do that. Don't bring that. No. But yeah, it's strange. And some people try to ask like, how did you do that? And I'm like, I listened. I know this sounds so strange, and maybe you can help me figure out how to say
You
this
took a journey deep inside of you to figure yourself out. You stopped and you listened for a change. You listened to yourself.
Because you're like, so go, and you're like, got to do all these things. And then when you stop, and then all of a sudden it's like, hey man, if you just did this, we'd be good.
Like, that happened to me within the last couple of months too. Because this year has been rough on a lot of people. For me medically, it's been back problems, glaucoma. I just got through a fucking prostate infection, which I don't know how the fuck that happened. But
what are you doing in your free time, AJ? Let me ask you the question.
What is free time? Define free time. I'm not quite sure what that word means. No, but
neither do I.
Back in June, I finally I was getting so lazy with working out and stuff because I work nights, Monday through Thursday, and that night shift sucks. It definitely takes a toll on your body, mentally, physically, stuff like that. And I was just sleeping until I had to get up and go back to work again. And finally, I was just like, all right. I looked at myself in the mirror and I'm like, you're a fat fuck. Like, you need to lose some weight, man. Like, I
did that too.
Yeah, I was like, dude, you gotta lose weight, man.
You had the mirror. You had the mirror look. Like you looked at the mirror.
I had that Dr. Cox moment where I looked in the mirror and I'm like, I hate my body. Like, like.
I did the same thing. I walked in the mirror. I looked in the mirror, and this was actually in California. I think this is also part of the clique where I looked at the mirror, looked at this kind of rotund at the front, and went, "Fuck you!" Just like. Yeah. And it wasn't just like I'm angry at myself. I'm gonna self-destructive. It was just, no, fuck you. Yeah. Fuck you. Get on a bike.
It was literally kicking your own ass into gear and doing something about it. And that's what I had to do. So I started going for hikes. I started granted, I was going to the gym before all this shit happened with the pandemic. And then once it all hit, I stopped working out mainly because my back was fucked up again. But, and then I started putting weight on and all this other shit. And I looked at, I had that moment of clarity in the mirror, and I'm like, all right, get off your ass and do something. Yeah, there's a pandemic. Yeah, the gyms are technically back open, but I don't want to work out near anybody. So no,
and
I'm
also,
good.
there's plenty of those like what I'll say, the Karen moms in the gym who won't wear the mask, and you're just
Oh
gonna
my
be like,
God,
please go away.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Yeah. And we've had plenty of talks on this show already about anti-maskers. And I didn't talk about this yet, but I had a customer come in at my part-time job recently. I almost punched in the face because he was a huge anti-masker. But like it says on our door, store policy, you have to wear a mask when you come in here. Guy came in. I'm like, hey, sir, you need a mask to come in here. And he flipped the fuck out. He like went back to his car. He grabbed the bandana, threw it on, came in. He starts mouthing off to me. Oh, you got me all fucking riled up now, blah, blah. I'm like, sir, I don't care. All right. It says it plainly on the door. Our store policies, you need to wear a mask when you're in here. You're in here, what, 5 minutes to pick up a new device and some juice, and then you leave. And
my
you
favorite
take
thing
the
to say
fucking
to
thing
those
off.
people when they see the sign and freak out, I'm like, I have a strong suspicion that if I said that this store doesn't serve gay people, that you wouldn't have a problem with that. So I want to know what your whole thing with the mask is. Like, the guys that, because they don't have a problem when the cake store doesn't want to serve gay people, right? But they have a problem wearing a mask. So fuck off. Like,
exactly.
Fuck them. Like, it's their rights and freedom. I'm like, yeah, it's my
America.
We used to do that, and I remember because we would be in there and we'd talk about politics. You make the mistake of, if Josh is in the room talking about politics, because he'll just shame you the whole time because the dude just talks, and you're like, no, you're right, God fucking damn it. But we would always do the thing of like when things don't make sense, but it's like, but America, man. It was always just.
It's so fucking true. And like, just to close on it real quick, like this election is turning into a huge shit show. I mean, like now with the fucking mailboxes being taken away, like, yeah, you can still drop off your vote-in ballot at the post office, but
during
a
pandemic,
like this guy's doing everything in his power to try to win the election. I'm like, dude, like you're like, if I have any Trump supporters listening, I'm sorry, but like. He's done.
Open your eyes. Don't be.
He's done. Like stick a fork in him. He's done.
The fact, and this is where I'll close. We can move on. Mm-hmm. The fact that he is pulling these maneuvers, and this is my optimism,
trying to cheat his way to win.
Yeah. Like, the fact that he has to do that means he knows without it he's gonna lose.
Exactly.
And he's not doing it just to make assurance. He knows he didn't win the popular vote last time. Now that there's action against it, oh boy. Okay. Yeah. But regardless,
I mean, there's an entire country that has a warrant out for his arrest. Like,
yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like,
and wait until the New York State Attorney's Office gets a hold of him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, good. Tax fraud. But all that aside, I had that moment with the gym where it was just like all of a sudden, and I'm sure this, like, and you can do things at home, which is why I ended up. I'm getting a bike for my house where it's just like an exercise bike. Because
I just bought a Total Gym.
Yeah, dude.
Use Total Gym. It works great. And I just finally got my hands on Rig Fit Adventure, only to pull my calf muscle.
I've been meaning to get that. You got to tell me, man. All
right. So I found it on Amazon for about $100, but I mean, it's better than what it's been going for during this whole pandemic, which is like $200-$300.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's. A lot of it is, some of it is intense. Like you can modify it to be very intense, but you could also downgrade it to be not so intense. So I kind of got like a mix of both of it. But I was a dumbass and forgot to stretch before I did this. And by the time I was done with it, like I did more squats than I think I've ever done in my life. Like to this, like this is 2 days later. I'm still having problems with my legs walking right now. I pulled a calf muscle too. I was like, how the fuck did I do that? You know what I mean? Like,
can I ask you a question? I want to ask you a question in physical fitness or anything. Are you the type of person that like, okay, I need to lose weight, right? You have that thing. Do you do the gradual thing or do you go balls to the wall, like straight out?
So I can't physically go balls to the wall with my disability with my
within
back.
reason.
Yeah. But I've been dieting for like 2 months now. Granted, the last couple of days I kind of fell off since I got off my antibiotics and I'm able to drink again. But but I've been good with my alcohol intake. I don't drink during the week anymore. I have a couple drinks on the weekend and then that's it. Like I got to get back into my routine. I got to keep going. And I lost 15 pounds already. So
Yeah.
I'm feeling great. But it's like, okay, I've seen what I've done so far. Let's keep going. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that's what I got to keep doing.
I was the idiot who got to California was 300 pounds. Okay. I was 300 plus pounds in California. And that's just even at 6'4", when you hit that marker, you kind of got to go, all right, we're going to figure that out.
Yeah.
I was not smart I think this is just the way I am. I decided to take boxing classes day one of me losing weight.
Okay. And
for those that do not know, an hour-long boxercising class with professional boxers who teach you and hit a heavy bag, it is probably one of the most intense workouts you'll do in your life, because everyone thinks, oh, I'll just punch a bag. Go ahead, punch a bag. Your arm will be numb within 2 minutes. And you do that for an hour, and I go complete balls to the wall. I'm like gasping for air by an hour past. And you know that workout that you've ever done, your arms are actually like doing like the whole shakes, that whole thing. I kept that up for a week, and I found that that's just who I am, which is, and I think this just defines everything I do, which is like, I'm going to do this. There isn't a gradual thing with me. It's either I do it or I don't.
Yeah.
That's just me.
And you got fucking shredded, dude. Like
dude,
when I saw pictures of you when you moved out there and you got into shape, I was like, holy fuck. Like,
I was like,
look at this guy
away from abs. Like I was like a step away, like running 3 miles a day. And all of a sudden it's like, when it's like, how's your workout journey going? And puts down 250 on the bench and it's like, I'm fine. Yeah. And
how's it going, Chris? Oh, it's going good.
It's going pretty great. You know, it's like, I'm not that bad now. I've got a bit of a punch, but I'm just like, whatever. Yeah. I'm now back in that mode where I'm just like,
total gun show type.
More, but I'm just like, I need to get back into it.
Yeah.
But I go hard when I do that stuff. And when I got to that point and I realized, I'm like, dude, I love that fitness life where it's not about, don't get me wrong, everyone who works out has a bit of that vein. Like they want to look good. That's anyone who says, I don't do it to look good. I'm like, bullshit. Everyone does to look like. Everyone wants a little bit. Like they want the bicep, or they want a little bit of the, the shoulders. Yeah. But, for me, it was always, that's how I found out that my mania works that way. It was like, I did the boxing class, and for the first time driving back from it, my brain was silent. Like it was just like, oh, cool. Like all of a sudden I'm like, so then all of a sudden, not only physically reinforced, but mentally reinforced. I was like, cool. So we're doing this every day. We're doing this thing so I started boxing like twice a week, and then lifting in between that like a crazy person. Cause I decided to lift heavy weights and deadlift things, and then go to boxing class the next day while I was sore. And then it's like, hey, why do I have back issues? I'm like, oh, I wonder why. Like, you fucking idiot. You're deadlifting right after you punch a heavy bag for like fucking a week. It's like, good. Yeah, okay. But, regardless, I found that's just something about myself, which is like, I go into something. It's the same with like the D&D. It's the same with creative work. I come up with an idea and I go for it. And it's how we wrote music in Fear the Masses, at least in my thing. It was always just like, find the line and you're there. And we usually, especially, and Josh will probably correct me because he knows a bit more of the process, but Josh and I would sit a lot of times, and Doug and Mike would be there, and we'd come up with a through line, and we would be there until that song at least had its bone structure. We wouldn't sit on it. Josh would then come back with lyrics and stuff, but like until the bone structure was done, none of us would go. Like we were just like, nope, we're not doing this until we're done, because I feel like if you step away until at least the structure is built, you're going to lose that through line in everything. Same fitness, same with ideas, everything. If you don't build that structure, then it's going to disappear. It's an insane way to live your life, 100%. I'm a crazy person, but that's just what I do. I don't know.
Well, talking about Fear of the Masses and structure and building in the band. How did you actually join the band? I don't think we ever talked about
Craigslist ad.
Craigslist. Okay, so a lot like Doug.
Yep. So gotcha. I found a Craigslist ad for starting a band. I showed up to a house with two of our original members. It was Josh and two other guys. They left shortly after, about 6 months into the band. And then it was just me and Josh. And so we had to find everyone after that.
And then Doug came, and
then Doug came, and then Mike came. Doug, we didn't even really audition. We heard him, and we were more about his personality than we were his. We heard that, and he just knew his guitar stuff. Doug knows his guitar shit. Like, just like that dude is like a mad scientist with his pedal boards. And I love it. You know, we met him, did that, and then we met Mike, who Mike has such a unique way of thinking about the drums and the way that he thinks about the sound and the rhythms that go through it. And also, he just has such a good energy. You know what I mean?
Like, without that, he was part of my charity show back in 2018, and how he didn't have any room to practice at home for the show, and he was literally practicing on his steering wheel, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, I know.
Like, how do you do that? Like,
and yet he comes into the show, plays it perfect. Like, you're just like, dude. Like, they're behind your walls, right? There was a song Behind Your Walls where it starts with like a clickety clack thing, which is like, people were like, that's such a unique sound. And all of a sudden, Mike just goes, I got an intro for this song. And I'm like, okay. And then all of a sudden, he starts clacking on the fucking stands of his snare and hi-hat. And I'm like, where do you come up with this shit? So yeah, I joined for the mess of a Craigslist ad. The only song that survived, I believe that original one, Josh will correct me, I don't remember off the top of my head, is Let the Beat Drop, Black or Blue. And I believe the rest we just made after that. And Capitalist. But Capitalist is just like the easiest song on earth. It's 3 lines. The only song I'm really proud, Black or Blue I'm very proud of, because I was able to play that for fucking 3 minutes, which is the hardest bass line. Like, it's like a ska walk the entire time while still headbanging, and it's great. But yeah, that's where Josh and I met, and it was just an immediate, dude, like a friendship right out the bat. You know, it was just us hanging out like every other day, just figuring out music and stuff like that. But we really came into our own once we had 2 other people that we all just jived with and had a good time. You know, it was, we're all crazy people, and that we all like, listen, most of the CT metal music scene crazy people, but I will bet
good crazy.
I will bet Fear the Masses was always like, dude, those guys, like, they're cool, they're fucking great. Nuts. Like, they're just like, all of them, it's like, oh shit, Fear the Masses is here we go. Like, you know, and it was good. It was good to do that. And I think the next song we came up with after that, the minute Doug came in, because we had a bunch of interim drummers that we did not like, we came up with Make Me Your Leader, which then Mike turned into a good song. And it was from there, man. Like, once Mike joined at the end, it became like a family. It was like, we would text back and forth, hang out at each other's houses, all that type of stuff. And Mike and I used to have this thing. Whenever we would have a breakdown when we were Noah Come, I'd step on his drums and scream in his face in the weirdest way, like, ah! And he would just be like, ah! Like, screaming his arms, like, and it was for no one else but the 2 of us, like, just like that.
Seeing you guys play was always fucking awesome. Like,
it
was always a good time, and we had a lot of good shows together. So
we 100% did, dude. It was a
and
joy.
If there wasn't a crowd, like, we made our own fun. You know what I mean?
We made our own fun, dude. If there wasn't a crowd, we would laugh, because, like, I distinctly remember, I think it was you, or I can't remember, but I was on the mic while Josh was sitting. So I went, hey Jay, how you doing, man? Doing good? Good? Give me a beer? Yeah, okay, cool. Thanks for beer. I remember this, like, this whole thing, and all I see is a thumb. I vaguely
remember that. Yeah.
I see a thumb come out, and then, like, 2 songs later, beer on my fucking amp, and I'm like, thanks, buddy.
That sounds like me. I started getting more into, like, vaping in people's faces to make it look like smoke machines towards the end. A lot of people weren't crazy about it. A lot of people were laughing when I did it. Like, and then you see, like, a lot of people taking pictures, not only of me, like, bent down, like, vaping in people's faces, but then they get the after shot of, like, oh, hey, look, there's a smoke machine in this guy's face. No, it's this idiot below him vaping in his face. So,
dude, yeah, the CT metal scene was so cool. Like, okay, I'm sure there was a core bands of about, I'd say, 6 or 7 of us, band wise. Like, that were like the cool core, and then there were these other ones that all of us kind of looked at and we were like, oh, God, like just you know what I mean? Like, just,
I can think of a few bands that I'm like,
just like
the super serious, and then the
Yeah.
super stuck up, and
well, because everyone else we're like, oh, but metal is metal, and it's like, nah, man, we're just a bunch of idiots. Like, all of us were idiots. Like,
we're just lucky enough to have talent.
Exactly. Like, all of us were just sitting there I remember it would just be like Sever the Drama would show up and would just be us dicking around at the bar. Like a bunch of like fucking almost like preschool idiots.
Yeah.
Just be like, and just making like dick and fart jokes the entire time, then getting on the stage and doing that. It's like, and it was always funny. I don't remember, some other band was like, cause me, I'm this laughter-filled crazy, this laughter-filled just kind of guy that usually there's always dicking around. When I'm getting on stage, everyone says there's a light switch that goes off in your face where it's like, and it's like, dude, the crazy person comes out when you get on stage. Like, there's this,
I've
like,
noticed.
you turn into Hannibal a little bit. You get that eye look where you're just like, I will cut out your liver. And it's just like, all right.
And melt your face with my bass.
yes. Yeah, that was always that. And I would go hard for about 45 minutes, and then I'll be like, hey, how's it going, man? How's it going, man? It's like, dude, you look like you would murder people. I'm like, I don't know. I don't understand. So it's good.
Good times.
Always good times. Always
good times. Oh my God.
Dude.
I miss those days, man.
Dude,
I don't miss a lot of the drama that came with my band sometimes, but I miss playing shows.
I miss playing shows. I miss the people.
Yeah.
I miss the people. I miss hanging out with Josh, Doug, and Mike on the regular.
Yeah.
I miss a lot of the scenes. I miss you. I miss all those guys. I miss hanging out at like when everyone else would leave from the show, when we would be like, no, man, we'll stay till closing. Fuck it. Who can drive? All right, you're driving? Cool. We'll pay for a beer for you and the rest of us will go. And I say that because we were all responsible adults and never drunk to drive. No, none of us ever did that.
Never.
No. No. Dead silence on the podcast for 2 minutes.
This got awkward real quick. Do not drink and drive.
Do not drink and drive.
Do not drink and drive.
Do not drink. Please don't do that.
Yeah,
we were stupid. I'm being real. It's dumb. Okay. We're lucky no one. Yeah. Okay. That's all I'm saying. So
luckily I'm a lot older and a lot more mature now. Like last night, for instance, we were streaming and we were playing some Jackbox. I was playing with Doug.
Jackbox.
Oh, dude, you should join us one night.
Hell yeah, you should let me know. I'll play Jackbox. I'll get on a microphone.
I post it on Facebook all the time. Nobody fucking hits me up.
I don't do Facebook, mostly because it makes me sad because my relatives are insane. Okay.
You know what? I gotta give you that because like I was literally sitting there the other day. I'm like, I want to delete Facebook so fucking bad, but I can't because I got to promote this podcast. I got to, the stream the podcast and everything. But I hate sitting there and scrolling and just reading everyone's bullshit. It just drives me nuts.
Same with Twitter. I need it for when I stream and do things, and when I do all that stuff, and with writing and all that stuff, I put it out there. But I hate scrolling through Twitter.
Yeah,
That's,
I'll add you to our gaming crew, man.
Hell yeah,
I would love to have you.
Hell yeah.
So we were doing some Jackbox last night, and I think we were playing Survive the Internet, and it was Doug, Jonathan, Knob and his wife, and myself, and I think like towards the end, I don't know how we got into this stuff. I had a few too many drinks last night because I mean, like I'm home, what am I gonna do?
Fuck yeah.
You know what I mean? So they start talking about Taco Bell like out of nowhere, and I'm like, yo, I could go for some fucking Taco Bell right now, man. And I'm like looking at my fucking like Grubhub app and everything, and I'm like, oh, they stopped taking deliveries in 5 minutes, and then fucking Jonathan, he was like, yo, AJ, I'll give you 100 bits right now if you order that Taco Bell. I'm like, bet. All right. And then all of a sudden I see Savage donates 100 bits to JR Buckle Game. And I'm like, all right, here we go. So I put the order in like 2 minutes before fucking they stopped taking Grubhub deliveries. And I'm like, boom. I put the phone up to the camera. I'm like, boom, done. Right. So then we called it a night after that. And then I'm sitting there waiting for this fucking order. And like, okay, Taco Bell's working on your order, but like half hour goes by, there's no drivers picking it up, and I'm like, I don't think I'm getting my order. And Savage started streaming after that, Jonathan, and I'm just spamming his chat the whole time saying, 12:15 to 12:30, it should be here. Nope, never mind, 12:30 to 12:45, and he's just laughing the whole time, and
Oh
you
my
know,
God.
finally I was like, oh, looks like the order got canceled. And he was like, oh, that sucks, man. You know,
Dude.
well, go out and get it. I'm like, dude, I've had like 5 beers. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
No,
plus
it's
Taco
funny.
Bell is in another town away from me. I'm
Yeah,
not fucking doing
it's
it.
funny the older that I've gotten, the less stupid. No, I do stupid shit differently, but there are some things that I just don't do anymore where it's just like, cool. You know, where I like to say is like, I'm an adult now. I drink wine. No, I don't.
You know,
I
like wine.
I like wine. I do. I love wine. That happens to be one of my best friend's dads makes wine. So it's like,
Ooh.
okay, well, yeah. But it, you know, it was one of those things like we were in that perfect segment when we were playing in the CT scene where we were all young-ish, you know, where it was just like, you know, that was my college frat party was the CT metal scene.
You know what? Same here.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Same
like,
here. I never went to a real college, so yeah.
I never went to real college parties when I was in college. Like I didn't have a lot of friends in college at most. And I was just like, they'd be like, yeah, I went to this crazy party at that. And I'm like, no, you don't know crazy. Like you don't know crazy when there's like 7 bands around a bar. Everyone's like just shouting at each other for like just,
another round of shots. Come on. Like,
and I would just sit there. I'm like, who's paying for this? And somebody raises their hand and there's already shots on the table. I'm like, what's it? Okay.
this is so bad because literally last episode for the round table, we were talking a lot about like behind the scene, like music and like what it takes to actually be in a band in the local scene, like being at a show early enough. You know, waiting around until he actually had to play and stuff like. And then there was a part where it was like, you know, we were talking because myself, Josh, and my buddy Jeff were vocalists, and we're like, you know, we couldn't drink a lot because our vocals are our instrument, so we had to be sober for most of it. But then there are times that I didn't mention. There are times where like, okay, you're not playing the Webster, you're not playing the Palladium, you know what I mean? You could chill a little bit. You're only playing for 20 minutes. You know what I mean?
Dude, a 20-minute set? Yeah,
I'll have that shot. I'll have that beer.
When we played the main stage at Webster, I was sober as ever. Like, this is like a game on.
Exactly.
You know?
You're opening for a national recording artist in front of thousands of people. You got to have your A game on.
And your A game's on the table. And, you know, and on that thing, making it as a, you know, everyone's like, I always tell people, it's like, how do I get into a local scene? And I was just like, A, do it. Just make your fucking band, okay? B, stop taking yourself so seriously, number one, okay? You need to be okay. Like, it's the same thing when I did voiceover, and I actually equate these two a lot. You learn that you're going to do 100 auditions in 2 weeks, and you might get one part, okay? It still plays with CT Metal. You're going to play 15 shows that no one's going to go.
Exactly.
Okay? It's the way it is. You need to get used to that. And if you can still perform, I don't care if there's 1 person, 2 person, that is you're going to be able to succeed. Yep. If you put on the best show of your life with 1 person there, you're good. Okay? But here's the thing, not just 1 show. I mean, all 15 of those shows that no one shows to. Yeah, but the band's there. You play. And what it became was people like you, people like, Seven the Drama, all those people would be in the crowd. And yeah, dude, don't get me wrong. If there was no one there, I'm in the audience for your show. Yeah. I'm there, you know? But if there was a crowd, yeah, dude, I'm going to be at the back. But it's the support because we're all in that together, okay? Mm-hmm. And you make friends. I don't believe that the music scene's a competition, okay? No. I don't. And there are some people, there were bands that you and I both know that we met and we clocked, and every one of our friends in the scene clocked them immediately and be like, we don't like you because we are the group of people that are like, we are camaraderie here. We are putting it out there. If there's a song, it's like, hey, I like that song. Though I will say, you know, and this has been a conversation, is like, what do you think of the new song? And I'd be like, well, I feel like the drop doesn't hit quick enough. And you take that in your head and you're like, cool. If they think that, and that's an honest opinion. Like it's, you know, it's not just like, yeah, you guys are so great. I would go like, hey, AJ, man, I feel like the chorus goes 1 too long. And you go, got it. Cool. Maybe we can like fix that or find some sort of drop there. And
it's also difficult when you're working with people that don't think that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so then it becomes like,
sure.
I hear what you're saying and I love it, but
no, I know what you're saying.
The guy playing it is not agreeing.
Exactly. I got you. But it was like, that's how we worked with Fear the Masses, because like Fear the Masses was, we would play some weird, it would all be metal, but we would throw in reggae, we'd throw in a whole bunch of other weird shit. And, you know, we would always love those opinions.
It worked so well.
Well, because Doug and Mike are an insane combo of being able to do that, and Josh as a vocalist is nuts. And you know, and I like to say is like, yeah, I came up with some good ideas, but I ran around that thing and I was just more of a madman. But you know, when you build that band, and there are so many other things that come in mind that people notice, like, you know, we always put our thing. Do you know how, I know you know this, do you know how important it is to other bands how quickly you get your gear on that stage? It is important to me. Like how quickly, you know, the guys that take forever to set up the drums and forever to set up the kit and everything like that. And I just go like, man, fucking, you're wasting time up here.
Yep.
Like we would pride ourselves on being in on the stage and off the stage in like 5 minutes.
Yeah, and like, you know, I would help my drummers out sometimes getting their stuff off stage just to, I mean, especially those bigger shows too. Like you have to get off stage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, you know, for me, it was like, okay, mic's off, stands down. Okay, cool. Who can I help get off the stage faster? You know what I mean?
And that was always the thing. And that was actually what I always tried to say with the vocalist is like, when the vocalist would say, cool, my shit's done. I'm like, no, you're in a band. It's not your shit. Exactly. Everything is your shit.
Until you're making millions of dollars, selling out sold out fucking
and you have
shows,
roadies to do it for you.
You have roadies to do it for you.
Yeah.
You're fucking doing the heavy lifting just as much as everybody else is.
But, you know, and it's also just, you know, I think this pervades through everything though. It's like, be kind. Like, just be, like, don't be a douche. Like, just, you know, there are plenty of bands out there. We're all struggling in this. We're all trying to do this thing. Same thing with voiceover. Same thing with everything you do. And everybody's struggling. It costs you nothing to be kind. It costs you nothing to do that. And there's no sort of rep that you need to put up there. The thing is that we were great musically, but we became really known as like, dude, Fear the Masses are good people. They are good people who will support you. And if, say, you or another band was like, dude, can you just like help us out moving this? Like, fuck yeah. Yeah, fuck it. We'll always be there to help somebody. And that's how we ended up on shows with Sever the Drama when they played big things. That's how we ended up, you know, with you doing cover shows or anything like that. It's how we got those opportunities is by being kind.
Yeah.
And while I say the band was formative for me because it taught me that lesson. Yeah. It literally was like, cool, if I just show people kindness, even though sometimes they don't deserve it. AJ, no, I'm kidding. No, but you know, even if they don't deserve it, all of a sudden opportunities open. You know, it's how
it also helps if you're talented too, just a little bit. You know,
I don't know. I mean,
you actually know what you're doing. Like,
no, I mean, I know what you mean. Yeah,
I hate to be that guy, but I mean, like, there are a lot of great bands out here in Connecticut, but there's a few that like don't know how to read sheet music. You know, just play a whole bunch of stuff that doesn't jive together, and you're like,
exactly,
that doesn't sound right. You know,
and there are those people too. And then there's the opposite, where these guys are very talented musicians, but they're boring to watch. You know, it's like, and that's a talent in itself. You know, like I was not a classically trained musician, never was. I play purely off of sound, and I know the letters and I know everything where it's going. I know that stuff. I don't read sheet music much. I know how, but I don't. That's not my thing. But I would go purely off of feel. That's what Doug found as odd, but he loved it, which was that thing where I would find things that would be like, cool, well, this can go into that, and that's the emotion and feel of this thing, and that's the through line of what I would think. But I'm also weird in the way that I think. Always have been. Just kind of like, it is just like, I don't think in a logical way a lot of the time, where it's just like there's an emotion and feel in both music and narrative that you need to follow. You know, you know, because that sheet music can tell me technically that this needs to go here, but that, you know what, if there was math involved, right, which is what sheet music in some way is, right? If you were to tell me, it's like, well, mathematically it says here, if there was supposed to be math involved, then I'd be able to make a hit single every time. You know, it's, you know, that's what I try to say. The same thing with like, you know, with how, you know, you make it as a streamer. Well, there's mathematics involved. If there was, then I'd be able to make a hit every single fucking time I stream or every single video I make, you know? You know, so it's also just about you and your tenacity and also the emotion that you carry into things, you know, and I'm big about that. I'm big about getting across a narrative of emotion to people, as weird as that sounds. And I want to make you feel things, AJ. That's what I want.
Oh, well, we went on a huge tangent about music. Let's talk about something else for a minute. You and Josh had a podcast for a while called Source Material.
Yes.
What's going on with that? You guys I know you got busy with work and stuff. But is there any plan for a comeback? For anybody listening, too, Source Material was a D&D
world.
D&D world building podcast
So,
that him and Josh were building together.
I have a through line that Josh and I need to talk about, so to speak. So what happened was I all of a sudden got a job where I was the creative manager of an entire company. And all of a sudden I was like, I need to figure this out.
Yeah.
And it was totally cool. It's fine. But I want to bring that back in a different way, which in the same way. I decided since quarantine, I am writing that book as a full TTRPG or an RPG that people can play. A superhero game, and I've been working on the mathematics of it and working out the system and all that stuff, and that's been my long project. I actually have a lot of things I've been working on with, and Josh and I have been going back and forth about it. I want to continue that podcast, and I want to talk to Josh about how we should do that, and I really want to talk about how we make that work and how we make it appealing to people, because there's a lot of mathematics that goes into it without being boring. But I
was fully entertained when.
Oh, dude, we were having a laugh fest about like how stupid some ideas were.
I'll post the link below. I found it on Spotify for my listeners, but
it's on there.
Definitely check it out. I think that you guys had like 7 episodes or something.
7 episodes, and I want to do it. I do want to restart it. But yeah, that is a huge passion of mine, is RPGs and TTRPGs and D&D. Which
you're a great storyteller. Great storyteller.
That's my number one level. I've been doing it since I was 12 years old. I've been playing the Dungeon Master or the GM Game Master since I was 12.
Okay.
And I've been telling stories and creating worlds since forever. I've run Josh through games. I've run Mike through games. I still need to get Doug. I need to get you in a game.
Dude, I would love to. I mean, like, if you actually like make this like whole thing like a legitimate game, like I was talking to Mike on the previous episode when he was on, because he was talking about getting me into D&D too, and I've always been curious. Maybe we can like stream it one of these nights or something.
Dude, one of my goals is to turn, when I stream, I want to just turn that into a D&D actual play channel where I just play D&D with my friends.
That'd be dope.
That's all I want.
Yeah.
I maybe play games in between, but I've always found like, I can play a game, but I'm also very quiet when I play games sometimes because I like to think. But when I do D&D, I want to have my friends on a fucking on video right here and just be like, cool, we're going to have some insane shit happen right now.
I'm totally down.
And also play comedy. And, I want to, and the superhero thing, by the way, which is what this TTRPG is, it's the idea of, I saw a need that there was no good tabletop role-playing game that had superheroes done right, that allowed players to play in a dynamic feel with combat and role play and all this stuff. And I saw this is a need that I want to fill. I want to do, and I want to have still the D&D feel where I'm like, no, the dice decide whether this succeeds or not. But at the same time, I allow the dynamic of like, how can you not have a superhero role-playing game and not have something like, you get punched through this building? Because listen, that's like a hallmark of superheroes, where the dude gets knocked through a window or something. You know what I mean? Like, or Mr. AJ's wearing the Captain America shield right now. Hell yeah. Like the epic moment of throwing the shield that bounces off 2 guys, a guy in it, like when he's it's a Winter Soldier in the elevator scene. The elevator scene is so fucking cool in that movie.
When he took out the Hydra guys?
The Hydra guys all in the elevator.
Yeah.
It
was Winter Soldier.
That was an awesome fucking scene where it's like, and you want to have like, I'm super powerful, and Captain America pulling a helicopter with his bare arms kind of thing.
Oh, that was totally for the ladies, by the way.
100% for the ladies. And you know what? Let's just say for the ladies, also for us, because even we went, ooh, baby, just like, let's be real, like, Chris Evans, you get it.
I showed a friend of mine months ago, before quarantine happened, who's hanging out with me. She never saw any of the Marvel movies, so we're like kind of doing like a Marvel universe kind of theme thing when we're hanging out for a little while. And she fell in love with Chris Evans, man, like hard.
I mean,
like
we're all in love with Chris Evans.
To this day, like every time I see her post something that has Chris Evans, and I'm like, yeah, I'm the one that did that. Like,
yeah, but that's the thing though. Like, I mean, so do you have like favorite superheroes and stuff like that? Is it Captain America for you, or is it like?
I mean, like, I love Captain America. I'm not a big Captain America fan, but I mean, like, Definitely, I grew up loving Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Batman, of course. I mean,
Do you like the new Marvel Spider-Mans? Love them? Like them?
which
The new
ones?
like Far From Home, like Tom Holland, like those
Oh,
two.
yeah.
Dude, they're awesome.
They were way better than I hate to say Andrew Garfield's run as Spider-Man.
Ruining the Lizard for me.
Yeah.
But
It wasn't his fault though. It was Sony that ruined
no,
it.
he played a decent Spider-Man.
Yeah.
It was the rest
I
of the
think he
story
was
around
too
him.
cool to be.
Yeah, no, I like Tom Holland as a geeky, nerdy kid.
Yes.
Like, oh, Mr. Stark, cool, cool. Like, I love that.
Yeah.
But I also love that juxtaposition. Like, that's what I wanted to capture in the game that I did, which is like, I want you to be able to say is like, I want to be like Spider-Man, or I want to have this type of thing. And a lot of the games that I read is like, you can't really do that without too much role play into it. I want to be able to do that. Like,
that'd be cool.
I played a game. You ever play the Infamous games? You ever play those? Dude, they are original PlayStation 3. Infamous 1 is still a little crusty because it's like a launch title for PS3. I wouldn't. Infamous 2, if you can find it, I think it's on PlayStation Now or something like that.
I'll have to check it out. I got a PS4,
yeah.
so
yeah, pick it up, play it. Anybody, it is a classic superhero game that you go, this is fucking awesome. And I want that feel. Yeah, but narrative storytelling. So there's a golden rule in D&D, right? Is for me, this is everyone's thing, but it isn't everyone's thing. That I am merely, as the DM, the person who writes the story, the stage. And you guys tell the story based upon what you do and choose to want to be. And so I love that. I love taking someone like AJ, if you came in and being like, what do you want to do? What do you want to be? You're presented with a situation. What does your hero do in this? And that's what I want to have. And
stab a motherfucker.
Well, listen, then that becomes a whole thing. Are you a hero that kills people? Because then that's a whole thing, it's like, okay, Punisher, cool.
Roll for bloodshed.
Yeah, roll for bloodshed. There you go. Fucking holy shit, Jim killed a guy. Like, oh my god. Like, all right. Cool.
It's fucking around.
I mean, I've had those moments in games though, where one of my friends played what's called a Warforged in the game, and he's basically a metal automaton, so he's a metal man, like robot, in a fantasy world. So it's very cool. But he goes, "Cool. So we're by this river, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "I don't need to breathe underwater because I'm metal." I'm like, "No, you don't." He's like, "Cool." So I grab this dude by his chest and jump into the river with him and hold him down until he drowns. I go, "Jesus Christ! Oh my god!" Like. I'm like, yeah, you could do that, but holy shit. Like, oh my God.
This got dark real fast.
Even the other players were laughing, but like, holy, what the? Are you okay? Are you okay? Like,
yeah,
yeah, I'm fine. I'm just drowning a motherfucker in the river. Yeah, it's fine. It's like, but moments like that happen in D&D.
Yeah.
Like, you'll remember that forever. Yeah. And it's wonderful. Like, I had a player who was a goblin, and he decided that the only word he could say was good morning. So he would literally just go, morning, good morning, 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 morning. And it was hilarious to me. Like, he would put inflections. It was like, I am Groot, but just good morning. And it was hysterical.
That's
like,
funny.
Yeah. So I love doing,
I'm totally down for that. I'm so down for that.
100%. I'm going to have to pull like the CT local scene together and do a CT local scene game.
I'll stream the shit out of that, dude.
Oh, dude, a bunch of what I'll say is a bunch of CT metal assholes playing D&D. Let's fucking do this.
I usually do like group stuff on Saturday nights with people. So I mean, that would be cool. Like,
hell yeah, dude. I'll jump in and throw that together. Hell yeah.
That would be
like,
awesome.
I'd love to run a game and have stuff like that. Like, I always encourage people to do D&D.
Yeah.
Like, because it teaches you something you never do. If you really want to see a good D&D game, find Dimension 20 on YouTube. Done by the former College Humor people. And it's so good. It has comedy. It's hilarity. It's great. Fantasy High, Magic High School, not as cliche as you think. It's very funny.
Drawfee.
Yeah, Drawfee. Drawfee's one of my favorite channels. Are you fucking kidding me?
I love Drawfee.
Dude, the fact that they're free and they have a Patreon now, I'm like, yes.
Now that they're actually, they own themselves now. And
so
it's not
fun fact, the
anymore.
company that owns my company was the company that owned College Humor.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. So that, so
that really sucked what happened, like, during all that, like, a lot of layoffs.
I was in an office that was right next door to Drawfee and College Humor. So I was literally in New York next to that. So, yeah. I would see them and be like, I don't want to be weird, so I'm just going to stay here. Because, like, I don't want to be like, hi, I love you. We're in the same office. Goodbye. Like, like.
Shout out to the Drawfee channel. We fucking love you.
anybody wants to see amazing art and laugh their ass off, watch Drawfee.
This is the second time I plugged Drawfee on this podcast. I did on episode 8 when I was telling one of my guests about it too. And like,
Well,
if you like watching weird mashups that don't belong together, done hilariously well, and then for the artist to apologize at the end of it, check out Drawfee.
Well, I meant to ask, how's your art journey going? Because
I mean, it's kind of at a halt right now. I mean, I'll still do like portraits and stuff for clients if need be, but I was doing a lot of fan art for a while. You could check it out on my website. I did Deadpool, I did Captain America, I did a portrait of my friend.
Dude, I watched your journey from starting to getting to there, and dude, you turned into like, holy crap, that's awesome.
Thanks,
that's great. Yeah,
I mean, I was a tattoo apprentice years ago.
Yeah,
way before I got into the music scene. So I mean, like, I've always known how to draw, but becoming a digital artist was something else completely. And like, shout out to my friend Kevin Freer, who got me into the world of digital art. Because I was fucking terrible when I first started out in digital. So I still remember the first iPad I bought off of him, and it was for a League of Extraordinary Frontmen podcast. It's probably on recorded somewhere, but like I drew a stick figure of Scott eating a hot dog.
Well, like, hey man, I make this superhero RPG. I might have to have you draw a hero or two just for fun.
Yeah, so, I'm down.
Yeah, fuck it. Like, have some fun with that. Make some characters. I have to make a book. But it's one of those fun things. Like, I love, my sister's an artist, and I love looking at that stuff. Like, the thing is I was born with tremors in my hands, which is funny. So I have something called apraxia. This is not apraxia, which means fine motor skills are very difficult for me, which is funny because I was able to play bass like a fucking champion. But at the same time, you give me a drawing, and I'm showing AJ here, but my handwriting, can you see that? Yeah, my handwriting looks like a child. It's always been that way. So I love watching art. It's almost like it's the one thing that I could, if I practiced for like 5 years, I might be able to be passable, but it's something that I quite literally physically can't do because my hands shake.
I mean, like, I don't have the straightest lines in the world when I draw either, and it takes time to you have to do a confident line and not have to go back and redo it. I'm not as good as Kevin Freer, but I mean, I'm decent. But I mean, I would totally be down to help out. It's been a while since I've done any art, and like I've just been focusing more on like this podcast.
Hell yeah, dude.
Doing some video editing on the side. I did that Rubicon lyric video that came out recently.
Yeah.
Stuff
that's
like
my
that,
bread and butter, man. That's my thing, which is editing and animation.
Yeah, exactly. Same here.
I got into that when I moved to California. Well, I knew it from school. That's where I learned. But I got into that by doing my first video in freelance was I did car dealership commercials. So I would literally edit those together and stuff like that. And you start out small, and then I ended up working for Sony PlayStation. That's pretty much what I did.
I didn't know you worked for Sony.
Yeah. So I did their ads. So the Play Store ads, like that, where's the dude with the shopkeeper? Yeah. With like the shopkeeper, I would do those. I was the guy on set, and I would edit those too. I did Taco Bell ads, the one with the Illuminati ones with the stuff. I would do the 3D effects there and stuff like that. Stuff like that. So
you must be pretty damn good at After Effects then.
That's my bread and butter, right?
I suck at After Effects.
It's a long journey. Everyone sucks at After Effects when they start because it makes no goddamn sense.
Like, I get like the basics of it. I guess like I can get by, but the more advanced stuff, I get so
You want to get better? Go to Video Copilot and do Video Copilot tutorials.
Okay.
I tell everyone to do this. The minute you can take a Video Copilot tutorial, that was not a sentence. The minute you can do a Video Copilot tutorial is the minute that you, and then iterate on it to be like, I'll make my logo off of this tutorial, is the minute that you are sufficiently good enough to like be a professional After Effects.
Yeah.
Like really, because like that's 3D mixing with 2D, mixing with other things, and it really opens your brain. But that's very technical, and I'll bore people to tears if I talk about this stuff. This is like, well, technically you need to move the physics marker by 5, and then you need to turn things for decay, and it's like, no, just shut up, Chris. It's fine. I could talk for days about that stuff. I have a lot of weird passions and loves, so it's okay.
Nice.
Hey man, we've gone on so many tangents, I don't know where we're at now. It's fine. It's all good.
We're talking about source material and getting back
Source
to
material.
that, but
We will get back to that at one point.
Let's talk about your Twitch channel, Jump Drive.
So same thing happened to the podcast. I have a launch date to come back to this when I'm probably going to start up again next week with that. Or, well, next week, meaning it'll be probably the end of August when I start again, because I had to take a break for work, because it's like, when you stream, you got to go 2-3 hours. And I'm like, dude, I work until like 6 some days. So it's like, I got to figure out that schedule. But now quarantine's happening. I'm like, fuck it. I'm going to do it again. Like,
yeah,
I really enjoy streaming. I do. It's this fun thing where I'm just hanging out with people and laughing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I hit affiliate on that, and I had a good time with that.
Congrats! I got affiliate too.
Yeah, dude, it's a great time. And then they're like, cool. So it's not like it's rolling in, but I can make money off this. This is cool. And it's like, cool. Well, I want to start that up and have a good time. But also I want to do, like I said, like D&D actual play stuff where people play and have fun time. And I might do one stream a week where I was thinking about that source material stuff being on the weekends where Josh and I stream talking about it, and I just recorded it as a podcast as well.
I did that. I don't want to talk about this, but like this last podcast I did, we kind of streamed on Twitch, and it was a fucking nightmare. But
really,
yeah. So the Nerd News Happy Hour was the last podcast I was a part of, and I left on my own free will, but mainly because I was I made a post about this because I just found out recently that a lot of those guys have been bashing me on their show for absolutely no reason. So I'm not going to name any names, but we did a lot of Twitch streaming during our podcast, and it got a little chaotic after a while because it's like, oh, we should be paying attention to the chat, and like, well, we have subjects we need to talk about too.
No. I always have the rule, and I go with like Critical Role and other actual play shows with this, is they're watching like a show right now. You can do an after show when you talk about a podcast, where you talk to the chat after the podcast. So like, if you go, we're going to go for 2 hours of this podcast, then I talk to the chat afterwards. Like, that's really what I do, because it's like, don't worry about the chat until that point. You turn off your notifications so it doesn't pop up all the time and let people listen. And then you just come back. I'm a firm believer of that. Sometimes I think people give chat too much control when I see Twitch. So it bothers me.
I don't like that. Like, I stream because I enjoy it. You know what I mean? I play games and like, it's cool catching up with friends if they're watching and everything, like Doug or you or whatever. Yeah. Oh, hey, what's going on? Thanks for the host, Let me beat this boss and I'll be right with you. You know what I mean? Like, exactly. I'm not gonna, but, that was one thing that drove me nuts about it. And then like the fact that like me and a friend started that podcast together, and then he brought in a whole bunch of other people to help with the show. And then it slowly got hijacked away from the two of us. I was like, well, fuck this, I'm out. And then just hearing the dog shit it turned into, I was like, well, I'm glad I left.
I will say something about nerds. Okay. Here's the thing. We're all nerds here. It's fine. It's the same thing with the CT music metal scene. Same exact thing, where there are some cool people where we make cool shit together. And then there are people who are egotistical fucks who I want nothing to do with, who think they're hot shit, but then you look at it and all they serve is a steaming pile of shit. Yeah. Okay. So out of all seriousness, who think that they know what they're doing, and then they're working with clip art graphics and they don't know what the fuck they're doing. They don't realize it actually takes effort to make this shit. And they think they spew gold when they talk. And I'm like, no, you're boring as fuck. Like, the reason, like, I did radio in college, and I bring Josh and Doug to do my radio show where we talk about video games. And Doug would always remark when I would get on to things like, you have a binder. I'm like, yeah, dude, it takes time to prep for this show. And he's like, and then this was always me, and I'm sure people can tell from the podcast, I can just talk for days. This is just what I can do. And it's been a skill since I was young. Once I got over my anxiety of talking in front of people, it was just the gates opened, but like, it takes time, and fuck those people. Like, I don't have time to waste my hatred on these people.
Yeah. And you know what? Like the numbers show too, you know what I mean? Like, cause like my buddy was telling me like first of all that he was leaving cause he was getting tired of it. But he was like, like nobody fucking tunes in. Like, these podcasts are not getting out consistently anymore ever since you left. And I'm like, because I was doing all the fucking work, and now exactly. And they had to figure it out for themselves. And And they, but whatever. And then like, my podcast now, I've gotten close to 300 downloads since launching in
Fuck
April.
yeah, dude.
Yeah, it's fucking awesome.
Thank you all for listening to my nonsense. Okay. Listen, y'all tuned in and you thought you were going to get some important insights. Meanwhile, I'm just going to tell dick jokes the whole time. So
for a podcast that's only been 4 months now or something.
Yeah,
like
dude.
300 downloads is pretty fucking good.
Hell yeah.
And we're consistently uploading every Monday. You're
going to make it when you get sponsored by ExpressVPN, and you can talk about ExpressVPN. Because, by the way, if anyone listening doesn't know that, every podcast has one sponsorship with ExpressVPN. It happens every time you hear this show brought to you by ExpressVPN, and it's like,
are we talking about Rooster Teeth? Because I fucking love Rooster Teeth.
I love Rooster Teeth. Rooster Teeth is one of my favorite things ever. Yeah. I had the pleasure of working on one thing with Rooster Teeth.
Really?
Yeah, so Genlock, Genlock, the show.
Fuck yeah, dude! I saw that. Yeah.
So I did some of the trailer editing and stuff for them on that.
No shit.
Yep. So I got to do some trailer stuff and some internal editing.
I gotta check out their Transformers series that just dropped on Netflix.
Dude, I've heard it was great.
I have to check it out.
I didn't know it was them at first. I just thought
because the trailers don't mention Rooster Teeth at all. But you go on Rooster Teeth's website and everything, they're like, "Oh yeah, we produced fucking this new Transformers series."
Realize they've been doing a 3D animation series, Ruby, for fucking ever.
Yeah.
And Reverse Blue and all that stuff. Like,
they were the pioneers for 3D anime. Like,
Achievement Hunter was my favorite. But
without a doubt.
Fucking guys, we could go down a rabbit hole of like, okay, I gotta ask, who do you watch on Twitch? Let's
see. I definitely watch Ray. Ray is awesome.
Ray's great.
I love Ray. I don't get to really sit down and watch a lot of his streams anymore because of work, but I definitely keep up with his YouTube channel and watch a lot of it.
I watch. I mean, Drawfee has their own Twitch.
Drawfee too. Great. Yeah, I follow Drawfee.
They're the stream I watch in the background when I'm working. And for me, I watch like, I watch a ton of streamers just because it's when I'm editing, I need talk. It's just the way I work. Yeah. So I watch so many. I could give you a list, but my personal favorites is like I watch. If you have to and you want to die laughing, go find a guy called Tomato, and I swear to God, you'll cry laughing. Like seriously, this dude, not like in a real asshole way, but he treats his chat like garbage, and he's just like, y'all are garbage humans, shut up, and he just like yells at them like because he's just like he's like my chat my chat is toxic. They're just terrible. Like they're just terrible people, but they're not. We're all nice. It's just like I love things like that. So my recommendation is watch Tomato, but I watch a lot of Twitch and YouTube all the time. Too much. I love consuming content. It's it's kind of like how you get better at music. It's you listen a lot to things.
I definitely got some ideas from watching a lot of Ray's streams too. I mean, like I love his fucking sound effects for alerts and shit. Like, he's got, and they come in at the most perfect times. Like some of his people that watch
Andy Samberg thing when the world blew up. I remember seeing a clip of that. Like the world blew up and it was like Andy Samberg. Holy shit! Like it's just that, and the world blew up. I was like.
I remember this thing. I don't know if it was what was that game that he was playing with the genie that dances or whatever?
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Yes.
He was playing that, and there was like a scene where like they were all like they're all looking like sexy models and stuff like that, like shit like that. And then he had a clip for one of his alerts where it was Hank Hill, and he just comes in, I'm about to bust, and then like it just comes in out of nowhere. I fucking lost it. I fell over. I was laughing so goddamn hard. And even Ray, like he stopped. He's fucking laughing so damn hard because it comes in like at the most appropriate times. And so like, I need alerts like that. They're so goddamn funny.
So not to get back on the train, but this I love stuff like that. Like, I love when I watch YouTube shows. It's the reason I watch a lot of actual play D&D because it gives me good ideas. And there is this moment in the show, and it's in the second episode, and all I gotta say is that someone fucking dies in the most hilarious way that the DM does. It's, I don't care. If you want to watch Dimension 20, skip the next 2 minutes. Okay. I just want to tell you this because you're going to love this. Okay. So this is set in a magic fucking high school for adventurers. It's kind of like there's a 1950s, like imagine white picket fence. There's still cars driving. Like it's like Grease, but with magic high schoolers that want to be adventurers. It's very good. Trust me. But Brendan Lee Mulligan, the DM, is fucking fantastic. And he comes in. 2 of the players die in a combat, and the principal of the school, who's a little weird, comes in, and he says, but we can resurrect them. He pulls out this egg, and he says it's the last phoenix, right? In this very grandiose way. And he says, and he's with the school guidance counselor in front of these players who are the students, only other ones. He's like, he says, but we can bring them back. But all magic has a price. And he looks and he goes, a life for a life. Eh, Mr. Gibbons? And literally Brennan says, and he pulls out a gun and shoots Mr. Gibbons in the head. And then he literally says, pulls out a gun and puts it, bang, and kills himself right there. And, and all the players go, what the fuck did you just do? What the like, and they went out of character, like, what is happening right now? Like, what do you mean? And I was crying. Like, it was so well done. And I'm done with the mention points, but like, dude, after this is over, I'm gonna send you that clip.
All right.
Okay, I'm gonna send you that clip.
All right.
Watch this shit. But I love watching things like that where all of a sudden a narrative takes different or on a stream where, you know, with like Tomato plays intentionally crusty or bad games, and like he'll just do those fucking things where like he has this obsession of like throwing people into the pit, and it's like, you're not allowed to have water on my stream because he banned the hydration bot in the stream. It's like, there's no more water in the stream, none. He's like, you will all die of thirst. And it's been going on for months, and he's like, I'm so thirsty, Tomato, put him in the pit. It's like, it's just great. I love it so much. But yeah, I love watching content creators in general, man. Like, it's great. Like, it's why, dude, I listen to this podcast. It's fun.
Thank you very much, man.
Yo,
I mean, now's the perfect time to absorb a ton of content, you know?
Yeah.
Get out there and see what you can find.
Here's the thing.
Know?
I you know, to get on like a serious level, right? People talk about, like, don't get me wrong, quarantine is scary. Everything that's happening right now, it's terrifying. Okay. And I understand that. We're going to be okay in general. And I honestly believe that the world will be fine. And right now is the time that you can take these things that you've always wanted to do, always wanted to consume, and you're going to be restless. You can't sleep. That's fine. Find something to consume that makes you laugh and be happy, because you need that optimism to get through it. Don't get me wrong. There will be days that suck. There will be days that I don't want to be in this house anymore. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be there. You're going to be okay. And find stuff that you do. That's why I'm starting to write this fucking book, because I'm like, I've got time. You know, fuck it. I'll start streaming again. I've got time. I'll watch this thing I've always wanted to watch because I've got time. And, you know, yes, you want to go out and see people, friends. I'm talking to an old friend right now on a podcast because I haven't talked to him in a while, and I'm having a great time. Yeah. So it's kind of like, it's one of these things of like, you can find things to do, and it's not what you've always been doing. You can't go to the bar. You can't go out to dinner or all this stuff. And I get that. That's terrible. But that just means you need to find other things that make you happy, so that when this is all said and done, you're going to be stronger for it, because you're not relying on, I want to go out and drink, because like, maybe I don't need to. Yeah. Maybe I could just go do this instead. And I think that especially during this time, we found that, dude, there's a lot of things that can make us happy in many different ways, and that we're all going to come out of this. And I honestly believe this stronger for it. As much as things seem dark, there have been, and I'm a student of history, there have been much darker times in our lives, in the lives of the world. And we will make it past that. It's just that social media in general, because it's constantly in your face, has made it seem like this is the darkest time in written history.
And also like just pure arrogance too.
Yeah.
You know, like that's another thing too.
Sure.
We need to start coming together as human beings and start getting fighting this together and not ignoring it, you know, not saying that it doesn't exist, because it does exist.
It does exist. Yeah.
And the same thing with the, you know, racism too. You know, it's like, it's a real fucking thing. Like,
okay, I want to go on a tangent here, and it has to do with Josh, right? And I always talk about this, and I said this the first time in a Facebook post. I think you saw it. Is that I came from a rich white background. I was a rich white kid in the white suburbs. Okay. I was the type of thing where, you know, seeing a person of color in my schools was a rare occurrence, right? And, you know, and that's a problem in itself, right? But, you know, so I knew where my views standed, that I abhorred racism in general. But, I didn't really do much about it because I was this rich kid, white kid that came from here. Then I met Josh, right? You ever want a true view on Black culture and what goes on in the world? Ask Josh about it, because he'll be real with you. He won't give you just the I'm on a soapbox. He'll give you the actual things that go with it.
Yeah.
And hanging out with Josh and all these things and asking those questions opened my eyes to the world and the way it was. I was incredibly lucky to have people like Josh and MJ who would literally just like, I'd be like, dude, I want to be I don't understand this. And they would, and here's the thing, they'd never be mad about it. It's like, okay, let's talk about it for a second. This is what happens. This is what goes. And with the racism and everything like that, I see in my head that, or I at least see from other people, right, is that a lot of this stems from the fact of that these people don't ask questions. They just decide that this is the reality, right? So when they say, well, there's more Black on Black crime and all this stuff like that, that's their viewpoint, right? And they don't decide, they don't question the talking point that they've been given there, right? And so to break that down, yeah, statistically in some cities, there's more Black on Black crime than police on Black crime, right? But however, that Black person that shot that Black person went to jail. There you go. You know what I'm saying? But a police that shoots a Black person doesn't, right?
Another thing that's really bothering me right now is like I'm about to kick the hornet's nest here, but
go for it.
That the poor kid that was murdered, that 5-year-old child that was murdered in North Carolina, was it?
I believe so, yeah.
The man that shot that poor child is in custody right now, but the way that white people are trying to spin it now, saying that no, white lives matter too. It's like, first of all, the guy's been arrested. He's in jail. Yeah. He's gonna face.
What about Breonna Taylor, by the way? Just want to point that out.
Exactly.
They haven't been arrested. Oh, by the way, what's going on with the trial on George Floyd?
Exactly. Like, how long did it take to arrest those officers who wrongfully murdered him?
And then that kid was murdered. Don't get me wrong. Fuck that guy.
Oh yeah.
Fuck that doesn't. Yeah. That guy should be buried in a pit. Let alone for a child. Let alone anything.
Yeah.
But
this is not a race thing.
And it's not. And by the way, that's not an apples to apples comparison.
Exactly.
It's literally, here's the thing. And what people try to say is like, I always like the analogy of like, okay, well, this house is on fire, but do you want to tell the fire department that all houses matter right now? Is that what you want to do? And, don't get me wrong. And I think, I don't remember who said it. I'm trying to remember. I think it was Killer Mike at some point. Is like, of course, white lives matter. Of course, all lives fucking matter. Right now, these ones do not, in the eyes of the law, apparently, because their statistics do not lie. Okay, they don't. And you're trying to skew them as like, well, technically. Don't technically me, because all of you know and laugh at the jokes where Black people get pulled over more. Okay, and you think that's a joke, some campy thing that's put on SNL or some comedy movie that you love. But at the same time, by recognizing that it's a joke, you recognize the fact that that's part of our society and that happens. And don't get me wrong, you can make jokes. That's fine. I actually believe, and I'm a big believer of Dave Chappelle when he talks about it, that you make these jokes to make people understand the actual problems with society because you find the ridiculousness. But, Josh and I would make terrible jokes all the time because that's our relationship. We're fucked up people. Yeah. But also like, you understand that you should be able to make those jokes, but these people shouldn't feel threatened at all for the way that they are. Judge a person by their actions, not the color of their skin, is the base thing. And the fact that, just talked about Breonna Taylor, 3 plainclothes officers can walk into a house, shoot the occupants, and arrest the person that shot back when the officers did not declare they were police. And then, by the way, he was let go. And I'm like, yeah, he was let go because the minute this was brought to trial, a lot of questions would be asked.
Yeah.
Okay. And, the fact of the matter is, it comes down to 2 key problems. The societal problems of the way that we view that racism and segregation has not gone away. Okay. It is just less obvious. to everyone, and it has been more hidden under the actual societal lines and economic lines and through laws and political scheming. And second, that we have given our police too much power. We have given them too much power, and on their side here, too much responsibility. They shouldn't have to do half of these jobs. They should be given to someone else, because you cannot ask somebody who's trained with a gun to deal with something that is a psychological issue, because that, you know what, that's unfair.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's totally okay to admit. You need to train these people better, and not just train. Yeah,
and that's why I feel reform needs to happen. I mean,
100%.
I don't believe in defunding or anything like that, because these guys put their lives on the line every single day.
And also, people twist defunding. That's not what it means. What they say is like, take the LAPD gets $3 billion every year. That's their budget. And I'm like, well, what if you take out $1 billion of that and put it into social worker programs, put it into other things like that?
Put it into housing.
Why do you need military grade weapons? You don't. You don't need body armor. There's not that many guns that could go against a regular bulletproof vest. Yeah. Okay? Unless you're telling me people are walking with AKs down the street, which they're not. Oh, actually, no. The only people that did that were the people protesting wearing masks that were all white people.
That wanted their haircuts.
That wanted their fucking haircuts.
But these are constitutional Americans in the president's eyes.
Exactly. And by the way, for anyone saying this is a drastic turn of conversation, if you had ever been in a conversation with...
This isn't the podcast for you then.
Yeah. And also the CT Metal Group, this is how it would go. Dick fart jokes and then very serious political talk. That's how it would go every time. But yes, like, I was lucky enough to have been in a position where I was still on the side of being like, well, that's not cool. But I also was that kid growing up and be like, oh, well, racism doesn't exist anymore because we pass laws. Well, okay. Well, I was like 18. Okay, fine. You know, like, whatever. You don't really know, and schools don't really teach you that much. And, you know, then to meet these people of color like Josh and MJ and a whole bunch of other people who are absolutely probably hands down some of the most educated people I've ever met, who literally take the time to be kind enough to be like, dude, this is what's going on in our lives. And I made the choice to listen. That's all it took. That's all it took. Because the minute you choose to listen to them and remove your argument, remove your predisposition, and you just go, I want to listen to what they have to say. That's all I'm going to do right now. And then I hear it. And then I start to ask myself questions, start to go looking for things. And all of a sudden I'm like, yeah, okay. Wow. That's horrifying. That's absolutely horrifying. You know, when you look at basically, and by the way, everyone's like, well, the Republicans, I'm like, Bill Clinton also put 100,000 new cops on the streets, and he did this in the name of reform. And he increased drug arrests. Everyone's guilty of this.
Oh yeah,
this is literally an everyone issue.
Oh yeah, we're not pointing fingers at just one party here. It's
no. Everyone likes to point at Trump and all this stuff. Don't get me wrong, he's a shithead.
Yeah,
but Trump is a symptom of something that has been happening since Ronald Reagan. Yep. Okay, pretty much. That's pretty much how it goes. Or Ronald Reagan, Nixon, all that stuff. It's been happening since then. You know, that we allow it to happen and continue to go because we'll pass it on to the next guy and hope it works itself out, rather than taking to the streets like these fucking brave, badass motherfuckers who are Black Lives Matter protesters, who are walking in the face of, by the way, rubber bullets, tear gas, and flashbangs, which are military-grade grenades, and still standing there. Like, okay. You know, what are you going to do? You're going to sit there and post on the internet and just like be like, well, you know, I disagree with them. I'm like, okay, well, you know what? Fuck you. Like, you know, like, you know, you're going to give me a hashtag. I said to everybody, and I said plainly, if you want to be the person that says hashtag all lives matter, I don't want to associate with you at all.
Same here.
Yep,
and I've said it on a previous episode. All lives won't matter until Black Lives Matter as much as
and by the way,
everyone.
We'll start with Black lives, right? Then let's get into women's lives. Let's get into Hispanic lives. Mm-hmm. Because listen, the fact that we look at people from Mexico as immigrants most of the time that are lazy, and the people who cross the border, when some of the most hardworking people I've ever met in my life are Mexican immigrants, and they're wonderful, kind people. it's one of those things of like, there are problems that need to be addressed. Let's start here, and then we'll start breaking the rest down.
Yep.
And it's because if we focus and we go, we're going to fix this, we're going to fix the Black Lives Matter issue, we're going to do this, we're going to make some headway here, then let's move on to here, because we have the power to change it ourselves. And people think it all has to be done with a president or a politician. No. It doesn't.
It takes people.
No, it takes people. Well, Josh educated me on this. Is like, do you know why they passed the Civil Rights Act? In truth, everyone thinks it's like, well, Martin Luther King gave a speech and they passed it there. I'm like, no, they did it after Martin Luther King was assassinated to prevent riots because they were terrified. And the fact of, don't get me wrong, that legislation was great, but the fact that was the reasoning points the problem even bigger.
Exactly.
And I'll go for days. Like, this is just like, this is.
Yeah, we're running pretty late right now, so.
I will stop. But, when you're in a band and if you go listen to Fear the Masses, that's all about politics. You got to expect this is what you get.
And you should definitely check out Fear the Masses. Everything
100%
everything they've put out, even after Chris and Mike have left the project, it's still to this day a very politically based
They played
band.
in New Jersey recently, and I went, holy shit, they're great.
Yeah.
They still.
Have you heard Tipping Point?
I have. I saw it live and I heard it. Oh my God, it's so good.
So good.
Oh, they're gonna listen. I'm gonna be real and like listening to them the way they are now. Dude, they're gonna be something. Like really, like listen to that shit. They're on the cusp.
You guys should have been signed a long time ago, and there's a lot of people in the scene that agree too. Like, to this day, people are like, "Why aren't Fear the Masses signed?" Like, they're fucking legit. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, I'll just say it's one of those things of like, I feel like they're right there, and they're on that cusp of one person seeing what they're doing. And
I hope so. They're a bunch of great guys. They deserve it.
100%. They deserve to have all the success.
Exactly.
And all I ask is that I get to go for free to all their shows. That's all I want.
But let's bring this to a close. Let's talk
100%.
about some plugs here. You
100%.
talked about some plans already that you got in the pipeline, but what do you want to plug?
Twitch.tv/Jump Drive Inc. Is my Twitch channel there. Keep an eye out for the Source Material podcast. I'm also at Jump Drive Inc. on Twitter, which you can find updates for everything that I do. That's pretty much my major plugs. I don't have a ton of plugs of what I'm doing right now. Everything's kind of kickstarting in the end of August. So pretty much follow my Twitter for updates there, and you'll find everything there. And I can't wait to do some more shit with my friend AJ here. So
gonna be gaming together hopefully soon.
Hell yeah.
As for me, thank you again for watching, everybody. You can hit that subscribe button if you're watching on YouTube. Just hit that subscribe button, hit the bell icon to get notified every time we drop a brand new video. If you're listening on audio, hi, how are you? Hello. You can don't forget to subscribe to us on Spotify, on Apple, on Google Podcasts, or wherever you guys get your podcasts from. And if you're on Apple, please give us a rating. Leave a 5-star rating if possible. We would appreciate it so much, because I bust my tail off to make sure you guys have great podcasts every single week. Leave a review. I would love to read it on the show. You can email us at roadswetravelpodcast@gmail.com if you guys have any stories, if you want to vent, or if you got questions about previous episodes, maybe content that we've talked about that you'd like further discussion from. Email me. I would love to help you out and read some of your emails on the podcast before we start an episode. Follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/roadswetravelpodcast to stay up to date with everything going on with the podcast. I think we got, hopefully, we're probably going to be doing another league rewind soon, because I need to start booking some more guests. So that will be in the pipeline probably next week. And then we're going to definitely do some more roundtable talks hopefully soon, because I definitely had a lot of fun with the last episode. You can follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/JRBuckleGaming. Just hit that subscribe button as well too. Would love to have you guys on. I've been playing Ghost of Tsushima, doing a lot of Jackbox and Cards Against Humanity, and as of tonight, as I'm recording this, I'm diving into the Marvel's Avengers beta, so that will be happening tonight. Yeah.
You got to tell me how that is.
Oh, I will.
You got to let me know. And
check out my portfolio at www.alanmpelletierjr.com. If you guys need commission work, whether it's art, thumbnails, logo designs, video work, hit me up. I'm open to commission work. So Chris, this was awesome, brother. It was so great catching up with you. Thank you for taking the time and hanging out with me today. I really had a lot of fun.
Dude, this was a blast. I had so much fun. Just chatting. It's always my favorite thing to do.
I got to have you on again soon, man.
100%. We'll go on tangents for days again. That's what we do. That's great.
All right, brother. Bye.
All right.